a Chandler, how you connect and how you know you're with the right one.
Okay, I connected with this person through somebody else, a friend of mine who recommended her. And when you go to a Chandler or anyone who has intuitive powers, particularly a Chandler, you'll know if it's the right one for you simply by the way you connect and what is told to you. Jay has a kind of an odd sense of humor and funny. I mean, we laugh. And I knew right away it was him. And then they made a connection, which was kind of interesting. So it was really a fun time in many ways, and we all learned. It was amazing what he was willing to share. And there's a group of them. It's not just him. It is my guy, some masters, some angels, and Jesus at one point. And it's that energy. And we have these commitments long before we come into our lifetime. So our pre-life commitment, Jay's and mine, was that we would work with addiction, helping people with addiction. Either he would be able to kick his habit, and we'd work together here, and if not, then plan B was he would come from the other side, which is exactly what happened. But
now...
excuse me?
Yeah, when were you first aware that your son was an addict? You said that when he was 2, he was rummaging through medicine cabinets?
Medicine cabinets, then he got kind of hooked into sugar, which, many of us have an addiction to sugar, which is so bad for us. Then I would take him to a counselor, knowing something was up, but nobody could put their finger on it. It's something we kind of hoped he outgrew. He had a teacher who sent home a note, you might want to give Jay some coffee before he comes to school because of the caffeine. And that tends to calm them down.
Interesting. And how old was he when the teacher noticed it?
Well, he in preschool. He was jumping off the windowsill as Superman. I mean, this kid. It's amazing he wasn't born with sneakers on. I'll tell you. He was very, very active, and he thought the world was made for him. In many ways when he was very young. If puddles were there, they were there just for him to play in. And he's a cute little boy, very cute.
Oh, I'm sure.
But he, and that made him charming to other people, so he could get away with a little bit. And then, obviously, as he grew older, then we noticed he actually had been drinking. He would pick friends, of course. That's how you always do it. You find your buddies that are in the same place. And whatever. So then we would start rehab. But at the time of this, it's like you understand because you're my age, there wasn't even the internet. So there was very little information out there. And it really was a handicap not to be more aware of things. Now, with my husband, who was an alcoholic, it took a while to realize he was an alcoholic and not just somebody enjoying a few beers at night.
Yeah. Okay. So now how were you, what kind of help were you able, I know what you're saying, because many years ago, people just didn't know about it. And I know we had our daughter was giving prescription medication after severe back surgery, which completely put her into an addiction that was very difficult for her to survive. People just didn't know about it back then, did they?
They didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the family secret. And you did everything to protect anybody else knowing. And that's part of the codependence is part of what we all do because we want to protect our loved ones.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about the three most important pieces of information that you learned from him through this channeling experience that will help other people transition to a life of grace. What are the three things that he was able to get through to you?
Well, the first thing that, and it's so interesting because we all have this ability to reach out in your mind's thoughts, whatever, connect with somebody who can help you understand things. And it's at night when you make dreams or thoughts that come to you and all of that. The first one that I had to learn to do is to really become an observer of life. And by that, I just step back and look at what I own and what I didn't. After Jay died, I was sitting home alone, and I was very upset about something that had been said to me at the time of his death. It was very cruel, very hurtful. And I was talking out loud, and I was saying to myself, I am going to tell them off. I am going to, how dare they say this to me? It's just not true, and all of this. Anyhow, I heard my son's voice just as clear as yours. And he said the exact words, Mom, don't own it. It is not yours. It doesn't belong to you.
Oh, okay.
Well, that started me right back on my journey. I felt so light because I didn't have that pressure. I wasn't responsible for telling that person off. It wasn't mine. What was I going to do when I get to heaven? Tattletale on other people who had bothered me or hurt me? That just doesn't work. So anyhow, part of becoming the observer of life, that's number one.
Okay.
Is to find out what you own and don't own.
Okay.
What's yours and what isn't yours. The other part of that is to allow other people their journey. So to provide that space for them. You don't have to guide them. You don't have to be responsible for them. And that's all part of becoming the observer of life. The second part was learning to live inward. And I had to really work at this because I had, like most of us, such a tremendous amount of monkey chatter. And that monkey chatter is all those voices that tell you you can't, you're not good enough, you're all of these. And so I really had to find, and this I was very lucky to do, is find a good person who did meditation. Because that living inward, that's the highest thing you can do to connect with your higher self. It's the most positive thing you can do. And that took me quite a while, I will admit, to just calm myself and connect with who I am, that energy in the universe, that higher energy in the universe.
You know, so many people are interested, so many people that listen to our show, and I hear from them all the time, and they're interested in this process of channeling, how people communicate. How often did you go to the channeler during this 8 years that it took you to write this book?
Probably maybe 12 times.
12 times.
Yeah, more than that. But I had to learn to channel too.
Okay.
As a younger person, I was able to do that and had some experiences. I had a near-death experience and all of that. But I had to get that connected. The corporate world can really, really live in the third dimension. It's not always a nice world, nice energy. So I had to get back to that higher energy.
Okay.
And that's the third one, is to understand the power of myself as energy and to understand that it really is a privilege to be here and to become aware of everything that is provided for us. Every day there is a gift. Every day you're going to get at least one gift, whether it's a smile from somebody, whether it's a bird at your window, or whatever it is. Because I know just by listening to your voice that you do this. I know that you appreciate life.
Well,
and laughter is it.
yeah, I think a lot of us who have been there, done that, we have an immediate connection, and that's what's wonderful to have you on the show and to be able to share you with our listeners. We're also now going to share our sponsors, and when we come back, we're also going to talk about the other books that you've written, because I have your wonderful website in front of me. You are quite prolific. When we come back, we're going to share your website information, and we're going to share how people can contact Joan Peck. We'll be right back.
Rachel Carson wrote, "Spring now comes unheralded by the return of the birds, and the early mornings are strangely silent, where once they were filled with birdsong. Little did she know the movement she began would lead to the destruction she envisaged." Announcing the release of John Graves' new book, Broken Wing, Birds, Blades, and Broken Promises. Today's wind turbines kill millions of birds, require backup power plants, are harmful or deadly to humans, have enormous costs. There are alternative wind turbine choices. The wealthiest benefit from wind. We pay higher prices. The story is conservation, the environment. The new book, God Reconsidered, Searching for the Truth in the Battle Between Atheism and Religion by Scott Smith, explains why both militant atheists and believers in traditional religions ignore inconvenient truths. Scott argues in favor of the insights of Gnostic Christianity. Check out www.godreconsidered.com to read a sample chapter. That's godreconsidered.com. With over 30 years as a registered nurse with empathic abilities, Carolyn Green, a.k.a. the Energy Nurse, is bridging the gap between traditional and alternative medicine. Certified in the areas of energy medicine, life coaching, and as a medical intuitive, she brings to each client an integrative approach to body, mind, and spirit. Her book, found on Balboa Press and Amazon, Getting to Know You, Guided Pearls of Wisdom for a More Soulful Existence, is a channel journey for clearing the mind clutter to bring about healthier thought patterns. As a motivational speaker, Carolyn brings new light to old issues and is engaging, interactive, and enlightening. With her newly launched The Energy Nurse Jewelry line, she brings to you stones and crystals that are not only beautiful to wear, but balancing and healing as well. To contact or learn more about Carolyn, go to www.theenergynurse.com.
Welcome back with my guest today, Joan Peck, and we're visiting with her. And she is the author of a new book called Prime Threat, Shattering the Power of Addiction, which came out on Valentine's Day this year. Joan, could you share your website information with our listeners and how they can contact you?
Yes, the website is www.bejeweled7, which is B as in boy, E, J, E, W, E, L, E, D as in David, 7, bejeweled7.com. If you go onto my website, you can contact me there, or you can actually contact me on my phone, which is 702 area code 423-4342. On my website, for those listeners, I have a download section, which I have different information, more of the Western information on addiction, as well as some other things that you can download for free. So I encourage you to do that. I'm happy to share that information with you. And, of course, you can get my book on Amazon.com.
Okay. And this website's wonderful. I've been visiting there. She talks about the 7 major chakras, which we've been doing that with Carolyn Green. We've been doing chakras on her shows when she's with us once a month. I love talking about this. You've written so many, your books, the 7 major chakras, keeping it simple, which is what you need to do when you're talking about that. Then you wrote A Simple Approach to Living a Successful Life.